So hello everyone. We were studying Gibbs free energy, Gibbs free energy, and by now we studied Gibbs free energy of a single component, and we started studying Gibbs free energy for a mix or say for a solution. Now I am specifying the solution, that is we are studying Gibbs free energy of mixing for binary components. That means a solution or mixture will have only two components. Now in the last lecture we studied that a mixture, before defining Gibbs free energy, a mixture can be of two types. That is, it is a physical mix and a chemical mix. Now, physical mix means there will be no interaction as such between the participants, that is A and B in this case, binary component. Now, and chemical mix means there is some sort of interaction. Now this interaction can be positive, that is attractive forces, or repulsive forces, but the main thing is there is some sort of interaction, and due to which there will be some change in Gibbs free energy. How? For physical mix we wrote that G system will then become XA GA plus XB GB. Easily we can see that this follows the law of solution, and the proportion of A times Gibbs free energy of A and proportion of B times Gibbs free energy of B. For chemical mix this is not the case. In this we write G system as XA GA XB GB plus some delta G mix. Now why is this delta G mix? I told you there is some sort of interaction between A and B, and this interaction will result in some change in energy, and that change can be positive or negative, so that is written as delta G mix. Now let's see what this delta G mix is. Now we saw this delta G mix, or this G system is XAGA plus XBGB plus delta G mix, where this delta G mix can be written as delta H mix plus T delta S mix, where this part is pretty easy to understand, that when we mix something there will be some interactive forces acting between two particles, that is A and B. So that can result in either absorption of heat or emission of heat. So this delta H is nothing but that thing. Now what is this delta S mix? We know that delta S is entropy, and that is delta Q by T, but that was not the full picture. Not the full picture. Entropy is basically categorized into two parts: thermal entropy due to thermal changes and configurational entropy. And till now we studied only this part, thermal entropy. So this delta S is nothing but delta S thermal, that is delta Q by T. But there is also a configurational entropy, that is due to configuration. Why? Let's take some solid, and that solid has both A and B atoms. Now if there were only A atoms, then they can arrange in some sort of fashion, and having just A atoms will not create any sort of configurational entropy. Why? Because if we just change this atoms from one place to another, the configuration will be same, but having few different atoms will create a totally different entropy. How? Let's make this. Now there are two atoms, green and blue. Now just swapping any two green and blue, the configuration will change. So having two components creates some sort of randomness, and this randomness is nothing but configurational entropy. Now the question arises, how much is this configurational entropy? Before going there, we have to know some basics of permutation. So now we have to write this configurational entropy, and before writing this we should know a bit of permutation and combination, and that we have already studied in our 11th, I guess so. You guys remember that? So let's revise that small topic. If we have, let's say, n distinct objects and we have to arrange them, then how many ways we can arrange them? Actually, this number n factorial will give how many ways we can arrange that. So if we have three objects, so we can arrange them in 3 factorial ways, that is 6 ways. So for example, I've already made a diagram which is this. Let's say we have distinct objects, these purple block, yellow block, and a green block. So we have these 3 distinct objects, and in how many ways we can arrange them? You can see that keeping 2 purples ahead, we have this arrangement, and then this arrangement, and this. So you can see 3 blocks and 3 factorial ways to arrange them, that is 6, and these are those 6 combinations. So we know that if there are n distinct objects, we can arrange them in n factorial ways. But what if, let's say, two or more objects in that system is identical? If some objects are identical, then what will be the scenario? Let's see that quickly. So I'll take these examples. Let's remove all this so it will be easy. Now let's say we have one more purple block. Now we have to arrange these. So how many ways we can arrange 4 objects? That is 4 factorial ways. But we can see that these 2 objects are clearly identical. They are not distinct objects. So why I'm saying that, there are 4 factorial ways. Let's write one more way. This is one way of arrangement. Let's say I'm writing one more way in which I'm interchanging these 2. So let's see how the arrangement will look. So we can see we have just copy pasted this block here and this block here. Is there any change? There is no change. No change. Both arrangements are exactly the same. Why? Because these 2 blocks are identical. So changing them is like keeping the same arrangement. So what are we doing in this 4 factorial? If we just wrote these as 4 objects and the arrangement of these objects as 4 factorial, we are overcounting. And which is totally wrong. So how we can improve this answer? Now we know that there are 2 identical objects. In how many ways we can arrange them? The ways in which we can arrange them is 2 factorial ways. So just divide this total arrangement with all counted one, will get our result. So what is the conclusion from this? Let's say we have m distinct object, but in which there are n objects which are identical. In how many ways we can arrange them? We can arrange them in n factorial divided by n factorial ways. So that's all we need to write our configurational entropy. Let's see how. For configurational entropy, we have to understand that, or not understand, we can say we have to assume that atoms are identical. Atoms are identical. So we have, let's say, A atom and a B atom. So A atom themselves will be identical. Let's say we have n times n number of A atoms. So these n atoms are identical in themselves. Similarly, if we have B atom, m atoms as B, so these m atoms will be identical in themselves. So total configuration, or total, I should say, arrangement configuration will be total number of atoms n plus m and how many distinct, how many identical atoms are there? A, there are n identical atoms, and for B there are m identical atoms. So these are the ways in which A can arrange themselves, and in this we can see B can arrange themselves. So these are the n factorial ways where they can arrange, m factorial ways where B can arrange, and these are overcounted ones. Overcounted ones. So just dividing by the total arrangement, we can get the total configuration. So in chemical, I should say in configurational entropy, this total configuration or total number of arrangement is given a new term, and that we call as omega. Or maybe I should not write omega because we are going to use omega anyways in a different. So here we'll call this as this. So we'll call our this omega as n plus m factorial upon n factorial m factorial. Now let's go back to our configurational entropy. We need to write this, and right now we studied the total number of arrangement possible for a system like this where A are n number of atoms and B are m number of atoms. Omega will be n plus m factorial upon n factorial m factorial, and our configurational entropy is nothing but k times of ln omega. I am not going to the proof of this, but remember, configurational entropy is k times of ln omega, where this omega is number of ways we can arrange.